What's up, weirdos? I'm Felicia and I like scary movies, and today is the frickin' day, people. We're reviewing the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I got a lot to say. So I feel like in my own life, I've been referring to this Texas Chainsaw Massacre as the Fede Alvarez Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is partly true, but I want to clarify a little bit. So the story for this new Texas Chainsaw was written by Fede Alvarez and Rodo Sayagas. The screenplay was by Chris Thomas Devlin, and it was directed by David Blue Garcia. The only other feature that he has directed is called Tejano, and I don't know that movie, but he was also the cinematographer on Bloodfest, which is a movie that I think was like 2018. Yeah, 2018. And I really loved that movie, so yay. And I might have loved this movie too. And if you want a little behind the scenes drama, David Blue Garcia wasn't even the original director hired. Ryan and Andy Tohill actually started principal photography on this movie, and the studio watched the footage and fired them, didn't use any of the footage, and then brought on David Blue Garcia to do the movie. Drama. Now before we get into it, here's a little plot. Melody, her friends, and her sister Lila come to the small town of Harlow, Texas with hopes of renovating the area. Unfortunately, their arrival ends up reawakening the deadly Leatherface, who begins to slaughter the newcomers. Meanwhile, the sole survivor of Leatherface's killing spree in 1973, Sally Hardesty, reemerges to take down the murderer. I have some small complaints, and there's definitely some spoilers I want to go into at the very end of this video, but we'll keep it spoiler free until then. Let's start out though with what I loved. Woo! This movie is gory. It is grisly, bloody, brutal. And that is kind of what I want in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And it's also what I was expecting from a movie involving Fede Alvarez, who did the Evil Dead remake that I am like desperately in love with. And that is, you know, a freaking gore fest as well. So first of all, that. The gore looks amazing, the kills are exciting and gruesome and brutal and graphic, and is there any more words I could just use to describe it? From what I've read online, they also did a lot of those effects practically, which I always really appreciate. Something else I love is this new trend we're seeing even in the Halloween movies with Jamie Lee Curtis, of this idea of what happens to a final girl when she grows up? What happens after the movie? What happens when 30 years pass? So as we mentioned, we have Sally Hardesty grown up in this movie. Unfortunately, Marilyn Burns, who played Sally in the original 1974 film, passed away in 2014. So in this movie, she is played by Olwen Fiore, and I think she does a great job. In this movie, it's much more of a side subplot than it is in the new Halloween movies of having this grown-up final girl. So we don't get to see too much of her, you know, what she's been up to. But we do get to have a great battle scene between her and Leatherface that is really exciting. Something else I really liked, could turn into a deep dive, but we're gonna try to keep it surface level. So maybe you've heard people talk about the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. If you look at it from the perspective of the Sawyer family, it's a home invasion movie where they had to defend themselves, which really makes me laugh. And in this movie, they kind of take that idea and run with it. So we have this group of young people that are very, you know, young entrepreneurs, like social media savvy influencer people, and they've bought up this small Texas town that nobody asked them to renovate, and they're sort of invading an area where they don't necessarily have a claim, and they end up invading a household that isn't really theirs to take. And there's something about that concept that really feels like a throwback to that opposite plot idea of the original Texas Chainsaw that I just like thought was so great. And it gives us a really good reason in this movie, and I'm trying to, like, you know, not give away too much, but it gives us a really good reason to cheer Leatherface on. Now for things that I didn't like, and there's honestly not too much, there was sort of a lack of character development for our final girl. They gave her this backstory that she had been in a school shooting that she survived, and it was very traumatic, obviously, and now she's in a new traumatic life or death situation. And though I appreciate the timeliness of talking about school shootings in this movie because it's a huge issue in our country right now, there's something missing from her character because it sort of feels like they gave that to her as her personality, and so we don't really get to know her in any other way. Like, every scene she's in seems to be about that, and I felt like I didn't really get to know her essence as a character. I feel like I only got to get to know her trauma. And that actress is Elsie Fisher, who was from that movie 8th Grade that I never saw, but everyone told me to. I'm sorry. But I wanted to like that character more, but I just didn't feel connected to her in any way. I also really enjoyed Leatherface in this movie. He's played by actor Mark Burnham, who's 6'6", by the way. That's a big man. And I feel like he does a good job of being like completely brutal and then also having these moments of sensitivity and sweetness in the character that we see again and again with Leatherface, where you do feel bad for him, and I think he does a good job of that. The only thing I was not convinced of is this like age difference situation. So it's supposed to be a sequel to the 1974 film. So that's like almost 50 years. But Leatherface doesn't necessarily seem that young in 1973. And we see how old Sally is. And I'm just like, so would this like at minimum 70-year-old man be able to do all the things Leatherface is doing in this movie? Like, why was I thinking about that? Isn't important. I mean, I don't know, but I was thinking about it. And in a minute, I'm going to go into my spoiler section of this video just to talk about some of my favorite kills. But before I do that, I'll just tell you my overall, which is I thought this was a fun movie to watch. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a wild and gory ride. If you like Texas Chainsaw, you'll probably have an enjoyable experience. It is better than some of the other Texas Chainsaw movies I've reviewed in this past week. And here we go. Here are your spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie yet, click away, come back later. But yeah, here are my favorite moments / kills. Okay, the main thing I want to talk about in the spoiler section that I was just sort of amazed by was the bus massacre scene. When Leatherface locks himself in the bus with all of those influencers and they are all filming him as he starts to kill them in the most brutal, gory way. Like, that was the moment where I literally was like, I wrote down, "Here's Fetty." Because it reminded me of like the graphic nature of even the end of the Evil Dead movie. Like, it just feels like there is blood raining from the top of the bus while it's raining outside. It's just an amazing scene. Also, earlier in the film, the head smash scene, that was one of the most brutal head smashes I've ever seen. It reminded me of like the shock when I saw the Midsummer head smash. It's just disgusting. The surprise beheading at the end, that was beautiful. Never saw it coming. Loved it. And then I think Sally's final battle and the way in which she goes is pretty amazing. We get some really excellent chainsaw action and the many different ways in which a chainsaw can kill someone. So that's fun. It's creative. It's thrilling. It's disgusting. And I think that's it, people. Now that I've given you my favorite spoiler moments, I hope you will go check out the new Texas Chainsaw on Netflix. It's a wild ride, people. It's wild. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice scream. Bye.